Welcome to Sports Minded. I'm your host, Brittany Young. I want to introduce my guest. He is a former men's basketball player at Stanford University, former head girls basketball coach at Midfield High School. I won 4 state championships under him. Also, the 2010 National Coach of the Year. He was awarded that after his 4th consecutive championship. He's the former coach for the Alabama Roadrunners AAU Basketball Club, and he's currently the principal at Rock City Prep Christian School and the founder and CEO of World Ware Consulting Services. Reggie Ware, welcome to the show.
What's up, Britt? Thanks for having me and being the first guest on your show. Hey, hands down, I appreciate you. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome, man. I'm just so happy to have you. And I want to give you your flowers while you're on here. You prepared myself and my teammates for college. We really had a program, and a lot of high schools can't say they had that. We were a small school, but we didn't want for anything. We didn't have funding like as a school, but our program, the way you and Coach Barber hustled to make sure we had uniforms, we had even though we had the packs we paid for, we got more than what we paid for. We had an unlimited amount of shirts, hoodies, sweatsuits, jogging suits, backpacks. We ate at nice restaurants. So when I got to college and we would go and eat before games, and I would look at the menu and I'm like, okay, I want to order this. And it got to a point where my teammates said, okay, whatever Brittany's going to order, that's what we want because she usually orders something good. Um, the way we practice. You were an X's and O's guy, and you handled the offense and the post players, and Coach Barber handled the defense and the guards, and that's how we did it. We did it drills, and then we went into whether it was offense or defense. Then the second half of practice, we're putting everything into play with game situation, time and score, and that's how we did it. Now we would practice for maybe 2 to 2.5 hours, not 4. When we got to college, it was 4-hour practices. I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready for. We did strength and
Yeah.
conditioning. We lifted weights. We ran miles on the high school road. But it still was tough when we got to college. It's a different dynamic.
Yeah.
But y'all put us in a really good position to be successful because we had a lot of players that went D1, D2, or went to junior college. So I just want to tell you, I appreciate you for everything.
Thank you. Thank you, Britt. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, so
Thank
let's get into it. So what made you get into coaching? I know you played ball at Sanford, but what made you want to get into coaching and why girls instead of boys?
you. Well, Britt, be honest with you, when I was an engineer major, architectural engineer major. So I had all of my and I went to school on an academic and athletic scholarship. So I had all of my grades, but when I went to Sanford,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't have that program. So my grandmother and my mother were teachers. So I got into the education part. So when I graduated from there, I went into teaching and everything like that. So got my master's in guidance and counseling. So when I did that, I was like, all right, I'm cool. I'm cool. Uh, Went to Midfield, left Birmingham City, and went to Midfield at Rutledge Middle School and was a counselor. And they needed a basketball coach. And it was the girls' basketball coach. So I was like, they were like, man, we don't have anybody to do it. You'll do it. I was like, cool. And then got there, and then we went undefeated. And before then, there was another coach there, and they went undefeated then too. So I was like, cool. And then at the high school at the time, for like 2 or 3 years, they only won like 20 games total in about 3 or 4 years. So they
Mm-hmm.
asked me would I be the coach there.
Mm-hmm.
So then I became the coach there, and the rest is history. All the girls that was at the middle school went to the high school, and we had a process of blending the girls that was already there at the high school with the girls I had at the middle school, and that was a task. But at the end of the day, they all became sisters, and they still keep in touch to this day. So you know, that's how I
Okay.
became coach.
Okay, so did you always have in mind that it was going to be a short time span that you coached? Because after one of my former teammates, Jasmine Steele, after her senior year, you were done. And I joke all the time. I say you pulled a Lisa Blutter um, from Iowa. After Caitlin graduated, she retired. She was like, I'm not going through the rebuild stage. So was that your mindset? It's like, okay, I don't want to go through a rebuild stage. This is it for me.
No, actually, I was going to retire coaching after your senior year. After
Hmm.
2010, I 4 state championships in a row, won national coach of the year. So I was through. Then Jazz, who I call her little giant,
Hmm.
what 4'11", if that,
Hmm.
went to Alabama. Um, she said, Coach, she was going to be a junior. She
Hmm.
said, Coach, just coach me my junior and senior year. And I said, Jazz, I do that for you. I said, but after that, I don't care who it is. I'm not coaching after that. And then just so happened, during her senior year, the state moved me to the high school. So
Hmm.
from that point, I had to give it up anyway because it was too much on my plate. But I was planning on giving it up in 2010. But really, after Jazz graduated, since I promised her, and that was it. That's how I broke off from coaching.
Okay. And nobody else. You said, don't nobody else ask me to stay and keep
Nope,
coaching. I'm done.
I'm done.
I
Done.
feel you. I feel you. I got you. And I think
Done.
it's Lisa Bluter. I think I may have said Blutter. I just wanted to correct myself. So let's get right into it. I want to talk about some WNBA. They just wrapped up the final series. The New York Liberty beat the Minnesota Lynx
Yeah.
in 5 games to become, so they won the first championship for
I
the
like the
Liberty
links, but
franchise.
you know,
Okay, okay. So I want to talk about, I believe we both said we had the Liberty winning the series. But I want to ask you about the officiating and what you thought about the outcome of game 5 because Lynx coach Cheryl Reeves said they got robbed. And a lot of people share the same sentiment. So what are your thoughts on that?
hold up.
Okay. Take a sip.
I got a sip on
Go on,
this.
take a sip. All right.
Now, Cheryl, she might have a point.
Okay.
And I watched the game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which been an NBA regular watcher for the past 7 years or 8 years. So I just want to throw that out there. So just not anybody just jumped on the bandwagon and now I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she's right because the discrepancy, even with the free throws, like 25-7 or something like that. And then how Nafisa didn't shoot a free throw and she made 18 points in the paint.
Mm-hmm.
I'm confused. One free throw. So and I'm not saying that the Liberty paid the refs. I'm not saying that the Liberty said, hey, ref, look out for it. Not saying that at all. But what I am saying is that that discrepancy hurt because that happened to me my first year and second year coaching. One of those state championships we should have won, and the discrepancy was um, I think the other team shot 58 free throws and we only shot 17. So
Mm-hmm.
the discrepancy, I have an issue with that. So I think she has a point. The coach has a point, and she coach of the year, so she definitely got a point.
Yeah, she has a point. Stewie also got away with a travel on that
Oh,
same position. She traveled bad. I mean, she she slid on him. She
American
traveled
Airlines.
and then actually Reeves she challenged the foul call. And then they still didn't overturn it after looking at it. They should have really overturned it. So if you look at it, I think the Lynx were up by 2 at that time. They would have had the ball. I can't remember how much time was left in the game. So we don't know if they would have went down and scored or if the Liberty would have got the ball back. But here's
Yeah,
my thing. They got a chance in overtime. So you had 5 more minutes. Now I would have been upset if that decided the game in regulation, but the fact that the Lynx got another 5 minutes, just like they did in game 1, when they battled back from down 18, took the game to overtime and they won in overtime.
one.
But
Yeah, they did.
they didn't have the same juice in this game.
Yeah, yeah.
They played great defensively. Nafisa Collier had 20 plus points. McBride had 20 plus points. But Courtney Williams, she didn't show up in this game. She
Everybody,
struggled.
yeah,
Only 4 points. You can't do that. And then you
nah.
had Carlton and Smith they combined for like 9 points.
Nine
So that's
points.
three of your starters combined for 13 points.
Points.
You
Yeah.
can't have that. So I get it. The officiating was terrible throughout. You know what I'm saying? So throughout the series,
I
it
got
was,
you.
it was
I
bad.
yeah.
So I,
I got you on that. It's I just think it should have just been a jump ball. That
mm-hmm.
way, like, hey, we couldn't tell if it was a foul or no foul, but to justify it, we're gonna a jump ball. Then you got Stewie and who was that they called the foul on?
Did they call it
Uh
on Collier or Smith? They called it on Smith.
no,
I
they
think the
called it on
name.
Smith.
Okay. Okay.
So y'all two jump ball, and if Stewie win the jump, hey, so what? But you know,
No, what the Lynx probably would have done was, they violated. Anytime it was a jump ball late in the game, they elected to violate. Courtney Williams would violate so they could set up their defense. So I don't know if they would have decided to go ahead and do the jump ball or violate.
it would
But
be to their advantage to violate
yeah, but
in
you can
that
say the
situation.
same thing from game 4. It was a lot of calls that went against Stewie because remember, she had 4 fouls, I think, during the third quarter before they even got to the fourth. And
Those were fouls.
no, a lot of those fouls on Stewie were questionable. They were touch fouls. And I was surprised that the coach never challenged any of those.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it could go either way.
Home cooking. Hey, you at home, but
They home, yeah.
my only thing, it's not even that call, really. My only thing is the discretion about the free throws. 25, 26, something like that to
Yeah.
7 or
Yeah.
8. And then Collier, and she goes to the basket hard. So she had
Mm-hmm.
18 points in the paint or
Mm-hmm.
more in the paint and no free throws. And she shoot the most free throws out of a lot of players in the WNBA.
Mm-hmm.
So not one free throw. She didn't even attempt one. They didn't even. I don't know.
So you feel like they got a little help because they've been around 28 years, one of the original organizations. They needed that win. They
I,
needed their
I
first chip.
I'm not gonna say that, but I'm just saying they at home, and when you at home, you get a lot of home cooking. You know what I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
but they just put a little bit more extra spice in their gumbo. Because at least it could have been like 25 free throws to 15 or something.
Yeah.
Carl, you're shooting 4 free throws or something. But
Mm-hmm.
I but hey, kudos to New York, they first championship. Kudos to them. Now let me ask you this here.
Oh, hold on.
I
Why you
go
giving kudos? Kudos to Spike Lee and the rest of the New York fans because they been itching for a championship. The
yeah. Now
city
Spike
and
Lee
the
been
sports
there
team.
for a minute. But
I
Spike Lee
know.
was on. Spike Lee had that sauce in him. Spike Lee had some sauce in him up there. When they had interviewed him up there, he had a little sauce. I don't know what Spike was talking. No shots before he got up there. I know he did. Tequila too. Some good.
Okay, I missed that interview, but I'm not
Oh well,
surprised
you
if
got
he
to go
did.
back and see that.
Okay,
My
but what were
boy
you gonna
Spike.
what were you gonna ask? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Now let me ask you this right here. But
Okay.
I know we talk a lot about basketball.
Uh-huh.
Uh Now let me. This your opinion. Now I'm asking you how did JJ get the MVP?
MVP.
I'm asking. She was balling, but I'm just asking.
I think she was the most consistent out of the 5 games. Because if you look at game, we talked about this. We know she can be inconsistent where she'll go off. She'll give you 10 points and then you don't hear from her for a whole nother 10 minutes. But if you look at game 1, we talked about, I said I thought that was a part of the game plan was to take advantage of the size difference because JJ was the biggest player on the court. She had a great game 1. They still
Yeah,
lost. She had a great game 4. They lost in game
they
4.
lost. Yeah.
This game, they needed her because Stewie and Sabrina struggled, and she showed up. I think games 2 and 3, she was solid enough to be in the running, but I know Stewie had a 30-point game. She had
Yeah.
13 game 5. So if you look at the numbers, I guess it could have went either way. They probably just looking at all 5 games. So I was gonna ask you. I'm glad you asked me and brought it up. I was gonna ask you that. Do you feel like JJ deserved it? Because if it wasn't JJ, it was gonna be Stewie because you couldn't give it to Sabrina.
Nah, you could. Yeah, Sabrina. She
Yeah. She just too quiet and non-existent. Like she came through in game three, with the two big threes
Yeah,
that decided
yeah,
the game.
yeah,
But she was quiet before that. She only had like
yeah,
I think she finished with 13.
yeah.
And then this game, it's game five. It's all or nothing. And I understand if you're struggling with your shot, you got to get to the basket, get a layup, get fouled, get your rhythm going. It's no way you can go 40 minutes and score. What did she end up with? 3 points?
Uh, three. I don't know. Five, three. I
Five.
want to say three or five. One of those. I want to say that.
Yeah, and then
To
in
be on
game
the safe side.
three, you make a joke in the post game interview saying, that was a second team all WNBA second team performance, taking a shot. You saying you feel like you should have been first team. Okay, go prove it in games 4 and 5. But you didn't. So she's not consistent enough for me. Really, Stewie wasn't consistent enough for me.
No, no.
None of them were really consistent. So that's what I'm saying. That left the window open for them to go ahead and say, okay, let's give it to Jonquel Jones.
Now, I'm not taking nothing from JJ.
Yeah.
Hey, girl can ball.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I was thinking that when you get the MVP, the Finals MVP, it comes from
The playoffs.
all playoffs, all of the playoffs. Because I'm like, okay, so if you only gonna give the Finals MVP for who was the MVP in the Finals, then it could have been one person who got them all the way there to the Finals. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so how do So that's why I asked that, and I
Yeah.
took it as though they do it for all the
The
games,
whole playoffs. I
the
thought
whole
about that
playoff.
too. If it was the whole playoffs, it was Stewie, most
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
But congrats to Jonquel Jones. Again, all of them they need to be more consistent.
Oh yeah,
Stewie,
oh yeah.
Sabrina,
JJ
JJ.
Ball. Oh yeah,
Yeah, but we talked about this how she should have been way more dominant this entire series because of the size advantage. And the coach decided to do the big lineup in game five. I wish you would have done that sooner because it worked when you had Stewie in, Phoebish, Laney
yeah.
Hamilton, and then you had
JJ.
Sabali and JJ. Now
Now,
Sabali, they
now
don't win without her.
Sabali. Now
I don't
Sabali
win
is the
without her.
one.
Yeah,
Boy, she came
yeah.
back from the Olympics. I guess she was like, since that old with my country, and she served her country well too.
Mm-hmm.
And she said she was just ready. I think she was just always ready. I like players like that.
Mm-hmm.
That if they start or don't start, they always ready. Whether they play 13 minutes, 3 minutes, 20 minutes, they gonna
Mm-hmm.
give you. It's always a plus when they on the floor, and when she's playing, it's always a plus. It's
Yeah.
never a negative or a minus. So I can
Right.
appreciate that.
And that's why I said I felt like the Liberty would win because they were the deeper team, the more talented team. The Lynx were the better overall team. They played together.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
compared them to the Spurs back when they had Duncan and Ginobili and Parker. Um, but talent wise, the Liberty were loaded at every position. So Sabali, hats off to her. They don't win that game without her and how she played
No,
coming off the bench. And speaking of that, because that's going to transition into the next thing I want to talk about, the Las Vegas Aces and what went wrong and why they weren't able to complete the three-peat. One of the pieces they were missing was a big man or a big woman that could come off the bench and give them solid minutes on both the offensive and defensive end, just like a Sabali. So what do you think? What do you, as far as what they need to address in the offseason?
well, the first thing, um, they need to identify all their players that don't want to get pulled by the expansion team that's coming. That's number one. And then number two, make sure the right player get pulled for the
Mm-hmm.
expansion team. And then assess whatever they have left. I would try to go for uh, um, a big that's coming out, or either trade for one, somebody 6'3", 6'5", that gives it their all, every play, and can play both ends of the floor. Now that person, I don't know exactly who it would be because I don't know who would be available, or who would want to go and play for Las Vegas with all of their talent on there.
Mm-hmm. Well, they have Kitley, Elizabeth Kitley, who they drafted from Virginia Tech. I know she's coming off the knee injury. She didn't play this past season. So we'll see what she can give them. Maybe she'll be that player for them. You don't think so?
They, nah, I had to give her, even without the knee injury, and she would have played this year, I would say it would have been like 1 to 3 years for her to just get settled in the WNBA, man. Because, man, the WNBA is rough. I'm talking about
Mm.
man, I'm looking at, for 7 years, I've been teasing the NBA. I be like, man, they can't even play in the WNBA because that little cheap file in the NBA, they don't even look at that in the WNBA. So with that being said, uh, um, I think she's gonna need a couple of years because she's gonna have to get used to the physicality of the WNBA, and
Hmm.
they physical too, bro. Real talk.
Well, I know they need a big because Gustafson and Stokes, they didn't give them enough. Stokes would come in and block a few shots on defense, and maybe knock down a three here and there, but she wasn't aggressive enough on offense. Gustafson, she could knock down a three, but they didn't give them enough. The guard play, they're solid. Once Chelsea Gray gets back to
Get
like
back in
full
shape.
go, gets
Yeah.
back in shape,
Oh yeah.
coming
Oh
off
yeah.
that injury,
Oh yeah.
they'll gel more. But I
Oh yeah.
feel like another big coming off the bench and KP, Kelsey Plum has to be more consistent. Her and Jackie Young, um, they got to figure that out. I don't know. You talked about the players they're gonna protect. I know you're gonna protect that core four of Asia Wilson, Chelsea Gray, Kelsey
Right.
Plum, Jackie Young. If Tiffany Hayes decides to come back, I will protect Tiffany Hayes.
Yes, you better.
After that, it gets a little tough. Do you Clark? Because she was key for them. I know she's a veteran. Do you protect her? Do you protect Kate Martin, a promising rookie?
I would have to hide her. You know how you playing
Yeah.
spade?
Yeah.
Hey, you get
But
her,
see,
but I had to keep Clark.
yeah.
I don't know.
It's questionable because I just wonder why Kate Martin, she played a lot at the beginning of the season, but then second half in the playoffs, she didn't play at all. So, and that's another thing. The main core, they play heavy minutes. So, once you get to the end of the season, they're a bit worn down. So it's just, they got to figure out that flow to me a little bit better.
Where Las Vegas coach,
Becky
man,
Hammond.
Becky is a dog.
Yeah,
I'm
she'll
talking about
go.
not in a negative way. I'm talking about like a dog.
Yeah.
So with her, once you cross her path wrong or don't give her what she asks you for, 2 or 3 times. Oh, you. I got a place for you. It's called right over there. So that's where you're gonna be, right over there. And I
I,
think that's what happened a little bit. Uh, she wasn't. I'm just saying, to me, I can be wrong,
yeah.
but just watching, I don't think she gave her. She didn't win her. I don't want to say respect, but she couldn't rely on her. When the game starting to count, because remember Las Vegas, every game started to count. I'm not talking about in the playoffs. I'm talking about leading up to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
game started to count. So I just think she didn't win her confidence to put her in when the games started to count.
Mm, I don't know. I think she was solid when she did play, and then you even look at a Sid Colson. I know she's a defensive player. She can score, but when you need defense, even Sid didn't play, as much as I thought she could have.
Yeah,
So I don't know.
yeah.
I think maybe what worked
I
in
ain't
the
think about
past, playing seven players, it's just not. She gonna have to make some adjustments moving
Well, that's what
forward.
happened to the Lynx. When it
Yeah.
went into overtime, they were done.
That
They
bench,
legs were.
yeah,
I
they ain't
mean,
have
it
a
was just, man. It was, boy. They was shot. I mean, when they went into overtime, they knew they were going to lose because they gave it everything they had
in
in the
regulation.
regulation. That's why those calls and things like that was so important to the coach and to the team. That's why she harped on that, because she knew once regulation over, they had nothing left, because she got everything. She got every blood out of the turnip. She got every water out of the desert. She got everything out of her players that she can get. And
Mm-hmm.
and I admire her for that. And she fought for him for that. And I like the way she spoke up. You know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
she was. Yeah, so you know,
Yeah, it was tough. They were thin on the bench. And Hines Allen, she didn't even play in game 5. I think she was a solid pickup for them midway through the season, but her size, because she's a small post
small.
player.
Yeah,
Um, I think, they went with the taller post players, but it just wasn't enough for the Lynx. So okay. So let's talk about these
yeah.
regular
She's
season
like a
awards.
green.
Okay. Go
For
ahead.
that team. Like I'm saying, she like green. Is with Golden State. She,
Uh-huh.
a little similar to that. Yeah, undersized but play hard and gonna give you what she got. I
Oh,
ain't saying she can pass like that. Yeah.
like a Draymond Green. I got you. I'm
Yeah,
with you.
yeah. I ain't saying she can pass like that, but I'm just saying, a floor general like that. But I'm just saying as far as playing hard and stuff like that. So as undersized
Yeah.
post player.
Kind of like a big baby Davis. Yeah,
Big baby.
I took it back on you. Yeah.
At LSU. Huh.
Yeah. I'm just saying, play for the
I-
Celtics. I'm just saying that
he
type of
played
player.
for my former coach, that coached me at Sanford.
Okay, what was your coach's name?
John Brady.
John Brady. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. We beat LSU. John Brady got the LSU job, I think, the next year. And took him to the Final Four maybe about 2 or 3 times. So I know Big Baby.
Okay. So Coach Brady,
Baby!
he beat him, then joined him.
And
Ah,
then
he's like,
join him.
I
Yeah.
got you. Yeah, we gotta get him. He beat us. Okay. So let's talk about these regular season awards. So we're just gonna run through them, and
All right. All right.
MVP. Like, let me know if the voters got it right. So
Right.
MVP,
Right.
yeah, unanimous. Asia Wilson, historic season.
Right.
First time WNBA player scored 1,000 points in the regular season, and I don't think anybody was more efficient than her. When you look at the amount of minutes she played and the points she scored, the stat sheet would be 28 minutes, 24 points, 30 minutes, 26 points. So she's real efficient with the time she has on the court, and she plays hard. The next person closest to her would have been Afisa Collier. Um, Okay, most improved went to Dejanay Carrington of the Connecticut Sun. Thoughts on that?
All right. Well, with the most improved, the only thing, because you had Bridget, you had, I
Who
don't
is
want to pronounce her name,
Bridget?
Bridget Carlton,
Oh,
uh,
from
uh,
from the
from
links.
the Lynx. And then you had Kennedy. Is it Kennedy or Kennedy?
No, it's Kennedy Carter.
Okay, Kennedy Carter from the Sky, Chicago Sky.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was up for grabs, but I would go with Carrington with the Sun because she did she made a drastic improvement. But she was all right last year, but so you can't lose with that. I get it. That's straight. That's a straight go. That's a go.
Look, I'm not mad at Kennedy Carter because she was a top 5 point guard coming off the bench, and once she started starting for the Chicago Sky, was their leading scorer, was their floor general. I
Oh
understand
yeah.
what Angel Reese did in the post, but Kennedy Carter, if you watch them play, she was their best player.
Oh yeah.
Um, so I'm not mad at Kennedy Carter, but I guess when you think about how the team played in the impact. So
Yeah.
the Sun, they were the number 3 seed. The Sky didn't make the playoffs. They went on that losing streak. I know Kennedy was out with COVID for like a few of those games, but they still hit a slump with her. So I'm not mad at DJ Carrington for that award. Like on both offense and defense, she's a dog, and she kind of makes them go. Like she brings the energy for the team. So I like that pick. Defensive Player of the Year, Nafisa Collier.
Yeah. I I
I,
can't. Well, it was either her or Asia.
okay, I
So
was
if
okay.
you gave Asia the MVP, I mean,
Not
real
Gabe,
talk. No.
earned,
Well,
Asia
that's what I
earned.
mean.
I'm
She
with you.
earned. She earned MVP, and honestly, she could have earned
Defensive Player of the
Defensive
Year.
Player of the Year. The only reason I say Nafisa, not with an H, with an S. I got
Mm-hmm.
you.
You got it right.
I think they gave it to her because Nafisa guarded different positions: point guard, two guards, three guard, four, the forwards, small forward, power forward, and post player. She was able to step out and do and guard all of those. Now Asia, she was able to switch here and there sometime, but uh, that's why Nafisa ended up getting it because she was more versatile when it come to guarding different positions.
Yeah, I'm not mad at it. I was looking at the numbers, and Asia did lead Nafisa in blocks per game and steals per game. But when you look at the impact Nafisa had on the game, watching her in the playoffs in this final series, just like hands everywhere, blocking shots, just long and just having a huge impact on defense. I'm like, okay, I see it. I get it. So I'm not mad at that. I'm with you. Okay, sixth woman of the year that went to Tiffany Hayes of the Las Vegas Aces. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on that?
Well, you had Fibich. That's how you pronounce her name, Fibich.
Phoebish,
Phoebich.
Phoebish.
Uh, Phoebich. It was close, but Tiffany Hay, either one of them to me, either one of them, so you couldn't lose if you put Phoebich or Hayes. Either one of them. So I agree with that.
Yeah, and it could be. Did Phoebish? I know they put her in the starting lineup in the playoffs. Did she ever start in the regular season? Because that may have impacted.
I think she played. I think she started some games. It depends on who was hurt, who was not available,
Yeah,
things like that. So, and that might play the part in it.
but
But
because I think
as far, yeah,
Tiffany, I don't know if she ever just started. She was always the sixth woman coming off the bench. If Kennedy Carter had stayed coming off the bench, there was no
oh yeah,
question. Kennedy giving you
oh
15 to 20
oh
off the bench easy.
oh
Uh, but I think Hayes and the energy and what she brought for them,
oh.
I'm not mad at that. Yeah, she deserved that. Um, okay. So let's talk about first team and second team. So you have, let me make sure I get this right. Second team, you have Sabrina Ionescu,
All right,
Kalia Copper of the Phoenix
all right,
Mercury,
all right.
Nneka Ogwumike of the Seattle Storm, and
Okay,
Enrique Ogunbowale of the Dallas Wings. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna give you the first team. First team: Asia Wilson, Nafisa
okay,
Collier,
okay,
Brianna Stewart,
okay,
Caitlin Clark,
okay,
and Alyssa Thomas of the Connecticut Sun.
okay. I can't disagree with first or second team.
So I was gonna ask if you disagree with any of those, and who would you switch out between first and second?
I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, I think all of them. First team is right to me. Second team is right. A couple of players are interchangeable, but it's still, you know, um, it's not a drastic like, ooh, how she get on the first team and this one. I don't see that. I don't see that drastic of a pick to put one. So I think
So
both teams are good.
so who would you say is interchangeable?
None of them really. I mean,
You just said a few of them may be
no, no.
interchangeable.
Well, I'm just saying if they did, it wouldn't
Hmm.
bother me. I mean, so let me rephrase myself. Whoever the first team players to me deserve to be
Hmm.
on first team. The second team players deserve to be on second team. And it's up to whoever want to debate that. But I think they got it right. I don't think anybody will slide it if that's the case. I just think they got it right. So that's my opinion.
Okay, so I was looking at the first team and I said, okay, it seems like they pulled a player from the first seed, second seed, third seed, fourth seed. They skipped the fifth seed because that would have been the Phoenix Mercury. And they went on to the Indiana Fever, the sixth seed, and got Caitlin Clark. So I said, okay, if you look at the numbers between Clark and Copper, I think Copper averaged more points per game, but the overall numbers, Caitlin's overall numbers are better. And then you look at the impact of her team and how they were playing the second half of the season, rookie of the year, all of those things. I said I'm not mad at it. Enrique, you can make the case if you're talking about points per game. She was the second most points in the WNBA this season, I believe.
Yeah.
But her team didn't perform well, so that put her at second team. So that was those are the only ones. So I'm gonna give it to Caitlin. I like that. I'm not mad at it. I see why they went the way they went. So the voters, they got it right.
Let me just say this right here, a little bit. I don't know how much time we got, but I just wanted to say, I want to encourage all the new watchers or viewers or spectators of the WNBA. I want you to keep that energy for next year. Matter of fact, I'm gonna charge you to keep that same energy for the next 5 years straight. Because once you do it 5 years, you're gonna continue to do it. It's great ball. The refs, they need to get a little better. But it's great entertainment. They're gonna get better at the entertainment part of the WNBA, but the play has always been there. So, hey, continue to support them. That's all I'm, just saying.
Okay, Rookie of the Year. That went to Caitlin Clark. How you feel
Okay.
about that?
I feel that it was the right decision, and it was a unanimous decision to me. Angel got hurt, so and then Caitlin, they went from bottom of the barrel to I ain't gonna say the top of the barrel, but they made it to the playoff. So and then she was on a tear after the Olympic break. So that means that she was doing her homework. She went in the lab. She also got with her other teammates and worked with them, and they worked with each other. Not she worked with them, but they worked with each other, and then they got on the right page. So it was a unanimous decision to me. Caitlin, yeah.
Okay, I will say first half of the season it was neck and neck.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Second half, Caitlin started to separate herself. So yes, I agree. She should have won Rookie of the Year because of how her team was playing the second half of the season and entering the playoffs. Like you said, they were at the bottom of the rankings and they finished sixth. So it wasn't like, oh, they barely made it in or they weren't the 7th seed. They were the 6th seed. And the whole team was playing well. Kelsey Mitchell was playing some great ball, where you could talk about most improved, but I said I didn't consider her for most improved because she didn't play well to me the first half of the season.
Yeah.
The second half, she really found her groove, and she and Caitlin were feeding off of each other really well. They had that 1-2 punch, and then they had a big woman in Aaliyah Boston who could hold it down in the post. But Kelsey and Caitlin, they really started to click the second half of the season. But I will say this. I agree with you that during the Olympic break, I feel like she was in the gym, in the weight room, in the gym, putting up shots. She was able to rest, get her legs back underneath her, because the rookies don't have really a chance to rest between finishing up college and then getting ready for training camp for the pros. And that's why I stand on the fact that I don't feel like she should have made the Olympic team. I don't feel like she was a person that got snubbed. I feel like it was other players like Enrique. I feel like Dewana Bonner, Neko Ogumake. I feel like those three got snubbed over Caitlin because we're talking about veterans. Talk about the numbers that Enrique put up. Like I said, she was the second in scoring in the league.
Yeah.
DB. Hold on. DB, a 15-year veteran. Top 5 all-time scoring list.
She's from
Birmingham,
the crib.
205.
She's from the crib. She's from Birmingham.
Birmingham, I know. So of course I wanted DB to make it. And then you look at Nelka, former number 1 pick, and what she's been doing with the Storm. So you look at those players, and that's why I was like, man, people get so caught up in popularity over who's most deserving. So they're talking about, oh, they missed the opportunity to grow the game. To me, the Olympics isn't necessarily about growing the game. It's about taking the best team over there to win and taking the players who deserve it the most to represent their country to play.
Well, let me hit you with this too.
Okay.
Well, it was some on there that, to me, aged out. And
that could have been left off. Yeah.
And those players you just named, DB, Dewana Bonner, Fairfield Finest, Fairfield, Alabama Finest, Who else you name?
Oh, Nelka
Nelson.
Gumake.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
She would have been cooking and
In
she
the
would have had a
post.
chef hat on
And
over
then
there.
Enrique. So
And
Enrique will
then
be around.
oh
So here's my thing. Enrique will be around 4 years from now. I don't know if DB and NECA will still be playing unless they pull a Tarazi where they trying to milk it. They still playing into their early 40s. Uh, I don't know. And I said that was a
what
missed
Tarasi
opportunity.
doing? What's he doing?
She milked it, baby. She look. Hey, look. She said, y'all gonna give me meat. She got that court named after her. She got all her flowers. And you know what? I respect it because a lot of our legends and our greats haven't been honored and received their flowers while they were still
Good.
playing. Maya Moore didn't get her flowers. You know, they honored her. The Lynx
Yeah.
did
At
retire
the
her
end.
jersey and everything, but she didn't get that farewell tour. Candace Parker didn't get it because she announced her retirement before the season started. So it's a lot of players that didn't get it. So I ain't mad at DT.
Well, those two, I can't get mad because they didn't get it because they retired abruptly.
Well, yeah.
It wasn't like this my last tour, my last season where they were able to get, the flower. They just said, "Hey, I'm done."
Well,
And
Maya ain't even
Maya
retired.
didn't even say nothing.
I thought everybody believed she was coming back. I thought she was gonna pull a Michael Jordan, a MJ. And she hit up
Maya
with
said,
the
"I got
okey
my
doke.
dude. I got my dude out.
Got her man and went on, baby.
We finna build a family. We finna just do what we do, how we do it, and I'm good." You know.
Everybody was hurt by that. Like, oh man, they mad at her husband. Like, man, you robbed
Yeah,
her.
hey man, you should stay, man. Golly, man, you robbed us from at least 8 more years of at least eight, but
Yeah,
8 to 12 more years of greatness.
yeah. Because I feel like if she was still playing now, she'd be playing at an elite level. And I mean, that was her choice. Like, she could have got him out and came back. So I don't know.
Man, Britt, just imagine. You got Simone Augustus, you got Sylvia Fowles, you got all of them. Oh man, you got all of them players from back. Man, just imagine if they had a protagonist and an antagonist back
Back then.
then to shine the light on the WNBA. Man, what? I'm talking
Okay.
about. Oh,
Okay, you were a little ahead of me. So the
my
point
bad, my
we were
bad, my
making, the point I was making was if Caitlyn had been playing in the Olympics, I don't feel like we would have got the same Caitlyn the second half of the season because
nah,
she
you
would have
would.
been tired because a lot of those players weren't the same when they came back. Jewel Lloyd, she struggled during the Olympics and she
Yeah,
struggled when she came back. We talk about players, Brittany Griner coming back off an injury.
yeah.
That's a player that you probably could have left off because I said she was injured and I don't know if she was ready to play. She could have been left off. Uh, of course, DT could have been left off, but this was her last one. So, Chelsea Gray could have been left off because I don't feel like she was fully recovered from her injury. Because even when she got back with the Aces, she still wasn't her full self. Um, so yeah, but
Everything you said, I co-signed. I co-signed
okay,
everything you just said is co-signed. Real talk.
yeah.
Yeah.
So again. Caitlyn having that break helped her, and she deserved Rookie of the Year. So let's get into our next topic because you talk about a protagonist and an antagonist, and I want to talk about just the narrative that surrounded the league this year from beginning to end, um, and your thoughts on it. First of all, the players talking about the racism they experienced from Indiana fans. Social media, you can't really do anything about that. But when they played at Indiana, they were saying how bad it was. So, what do you feel, or how do you feel about some of these so-called fans using racism in the sake of Caitlin Clark or in her namesake? You see what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, I
they're
got you.
supporting her, but they're using this to push their own narrative and their own prejudices and
Yeah.
racism. Your thoughts on
See,
that?
people watch sports and pull for teams or people for a certain reason. Number one, because the person, because of their athleticism or what they bring to the game. Another reason they'll cheer for them because of the team. If they playing on their favorite team, they're gonna cheer for them because of the team. And another thing they cheer for them about is because of race.
Mm.
Now, I hate when people cheer for people because of race because you forgetting about the style of play and the team, concept. Where in this instance, you had a lot of not a lot, but you had a few ignorant people pulling for not not the team, but for Caitlin. You know, that you had them for Indiana because she was white and it's a black sport, basically. So you put, yeah, we got the great white. Those people were ignorant. Now the people who was pulling for Caitlin because she can ball and they like Indiana Fever, you know, we're not talking about them. Now the only issue I had with Caitlin with this whole situation was that I wish she would have just said, "Hey, look here, I'm here to play ball. I love my teammates. I love my team, my coaches. If you're cheering for me or following me to use me for your own racial agenda, please don't follow me no more. Please, you don't have to be a fan of mine or any of that. I'm not part of that." Now, that's the only thing I hold. And then some people say, well, she's not vocal. She was vocal when she got the crap knocked out of her. She was vocal when she felt that she wasn't being treated right and that she was vocal. So you could have been vocal on that. Now, that's the only thing I just hold against. Everything else, you know, I think she handled herself well. But I think if she would have came out and said that, that would eliminate some of the ignorant people who were still making racial slurs, you know, from Indiana.
I will say, in her defense, she did speak on it, but it came a little late. Like a lot of the damage had already been done. And like you said, she didn't have that same energy when she was like, "Oh, I'm getting hacked out there. They're fouling me." And you know people were gonna come to your defense when you did that in post game interviews. So it's like we gotta come rescue the damsel in distress. We gotta come save you. You know what I'm saying? So in that same way, like y'all, I'm not gonna tolerate any of this. No fan of mine. If you're racist, you're not a fan of mine. That's not what this sport is about. That's not what this game is about.
Exactly.
I see what you're saying in the same way like a Paige Buckers would do. But maybe we just need to, you know what I'm saying? Accept the
Paige might
fact.
say a couple of little choice words with her, though.
Yeah, yeah. So, like you said, she does speak up for certain things, and we got to have grace with her on, I guess, her timing, when she's going to do it, because, like you said, she can shut down a lot of these things early and often. And I do want to give her credit for there was a foul. I think DJ Carrington poked her in the eye, and she went ahead and said, look, it wasn't intentional. She didn't mean to do it. She tried to shut it down early. But a reporter, a white female reporter, still took the liberty to question DJ Carrington. Did you do it on purpose? Was it intentional? Like that's dumb. That's not good reporting. That's not good journalism. Like Kaylin already told you it wasn't intentional. So you're trying to be messy by going to ask DJ, was it intentional? What do you think she's gonna say? But come to find out, that particular reporter, she's pretty biased in how she handles things, and she is pretty much a columnist in how she covers Caitlyn and is very favorable of her and a lot of things. But so it's just been a lot of irresponsible things happening from people in media, reporters, fans that has just entered the league, and it's just like these women wanted more attention for their game. They done delivered on the court. They've been hooping. They just want to make more money. They didn't ask for all this extra stuff, and it's just unfortunate.
Well,
Go ahead.
you gotta look at it when Larry Bird and Magic Johnson developed the protagonist and antagonist, whichever one you want to put one of them as, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to you.
Mm-hmm.
When in college, you know, people pull for Magic because he played for Michigan State. They like his game, or he was
Mm-hmm.
black.
Mm-hmm.
People pull for Larry Bird because they like his game, or he played at Indiana State,
Yeah, Indiana State.
or he was white. You know, so now you got those three on each side pulling for them. All
Uh-huh.
right, 1 or 2 years in a row. Okay, now they both go to the NBA. So those same followers gonna follow, you know, them. But
Mm-hmm.
the racial thing the racial part gets out there quicker because they're the loudest, you know, whether it's white or whether it's black, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's the loudest. and that's when they might play Monday and show it on Thursday. But when they came to the league, it stopped being tape delayed and started being live. So they revolutionized the NBA. All right, now it's been plenty of women in the WNBA way better than Angel Reese, way better than Caitlin, whether they white or black.
Mm-hmm.
But they never had a protagonist. Oh,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
I'm going to just go ahead and finish. I'm glad you said that because a lot of these new watches is just like Caitlin Clark. Oh, she's the best thing since sliced bread.
No,
If you've been
no.
watching the
You had
game,
Sue Bird.
but
You had, oh,
if you say that, you're hating on her, but
oh.
you haven't been
She'll
watching.
tell you them her
Okay.
idols. You had Sue Bird, Tarasi. You man, I can just go to man. We can just go
Yeah,
to name it.
I
Even
got you.
if you try to say Angel Reese was a, we had you had no. You can name white, black, any player that was in the WNBA. You can name 50 of them from since the WNBA started. Now that was better than Caitlin or Angel Reese before they came in the league and when they was in the league. No disrespect on Caitlin and Angel because they are great talent. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm just giving you raw footage.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the difference between them two was that they came at the right time, and then they developed a protagonist and antagonist villain or whatever, however you want to say, against each other in college. Did they try to? No. Did they wake up one morning and say, hey, they call each other and say, hey, we're gonna do this so we can make money? No, they didn't do
Mm-hmm.
that. It developed naturally. So now the people follow them because they like LSU or Iowa, or they like the way Angel play, or they like the way Caitlin play, or they like a black person, or they like a white person. So now you got the same concept as Magic and Bird. Now you got that in the WNBA for the first time. And look how it took off. It took off just like the NBA took off. The WNBA took off like that. So, and it's going to keep growing because now if the college is smart and the players are smart, you'll continue to create those every 5 to 7 years, a protagonist and antagonist type atmosphere for a couple of players who ever getting drafted, so that energy can keep going and going and going. Like Magic, I'm gonna say like Magic Bird, Jordan when he came to the league.
It wasn't. Who was it?
It wasn't anybody against him.
Okay.
It was teams then.
Yeah.
He made the teams protagonist and antagonist. They were going like Detroit, the Knicks,
Yeah.
Teams like that again. So now, you create that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna give you a prime example. Utah and Chicago. Chicago was black. Utah was predominantly white. So what? And
Yeah,
then one of
The Bulls and Jazz. The Bulls and Jazz. That's back when they had John Stockton, Karl Malone, and then the Bulls, they had MJ and everything.
They had MJ and everybody all of them. So people join in just to see black versus white. Not everybody, but some folks did. So those folks who did normally don't even watch sports. So just imagine that's another 10 to 20% growth right there on. So that's how it is.
No, you make a good point. Because you're forced, like people like choosing a side. So if you go back to, like you said, Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark in college, people were already kind of hip to Caitlin and Angel before. Caitlin did the little John Cena. She did it to Haley Van Lith. And then once LSU beat Iowa, Angel Reese did it back to her. But before that, you had black versus white with South Carolina versus Iowa.
Yeah.
And then Iowa upset them. And then you in the championship game, I'm talking 2 years ago, not last year.
Yeah, I know the year before
and
that.
then the championship game, you had
LSU
and Iowa. Again, predominantly black team versus a predominantly white team. And then this year was reversed. So you had LSU versus Iowa in what was the Final Four? It was the Final Four.
It's the Final Four then. And
it was the Final Four.
Iowa
and then Iowa beat them.
South Carolina.
Iowa got their get back against LSU. And then South Carolina got their get back against Iowa.
They scared marked them too, boy.
Yeah. So I think what the difference is now, because you look at the way the women in the past, the women of the W carried themselves, they didn't really have it was almost like they weren't allowed to have personality. It was like be professional, uptight. Now we have social media, and it's like you can tweet things, and you see Angel Reese doing the "you too little." She talking trash. Like you rarely, like, we've seen it from women in the past, but it's like now it's like, oh, for real? Like, people are watching now, so you see that, and then you see Caitlin Clark pulling from the logo and hooping, and like, oh, they really like that.
Oh,
So
they
now,
balling.
and then you have a team like South Carolina that's just dominant, just hooping. So it's a lot of great basketball going on, and it's a lot of things that you can follow and keep up with. You look at how they're carrying themselves on social media with the NIL now, and the deals and the modeling and all these things. So there was no social media back then during the Bird
Nah.
and Magic era. So I'm sure there was still a whole lot of racism that Magic experienced that he can speak on. I don't know if he's spoken
Yes.
on it. Um, I don't know if he's spoken on it or not, but I'm interested to hear what he would have to say. Um,
And I'm just gonna be real. It was a lot of racism that Larry Bird can speak on.
okay.
From you
From black
know,
people.
yeah, So I mean,
Yeah, but I guess I want to say this. I don't know how vocal Larry Bird was back then. I know Magic was vocal. But you look at Angel Reese, and it's always the black person, the black women have to speak up because nobody's gonna do it for them. If you don't speak up for yourself, you have to be an advocate for
you're
yourself.
right.
It's like a white player can be quiet, and that's fine. People are like, well, what do you want them to say? They don't have to say anything, but you have to understand. And then when black players do speak up, it's a problem. You're complaining, you're whining. So Angel Reese, when she got fouled hard by Alyssa Thomas early in the season, the chokehold, she brought her down. She was like, I don't expect her to take it easy on me. That's cool. Cause I know what I'm gonna do. It's just like that. And then Caitlyn, when she got fouled, now we know the whole situation with Kennedy Carter, that was wrong. That was uncalled for.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
when
yeah.
Caitlin Clark, she's getting fouled, oh, I feel like I'm getting hammered out there. Well, no, you be pushing and shoving too. You be talking your talk too. So just say, yeah, I'm getting fouled hard too, but I also foul hard. They saying stuff to me, but I say stuff to them too. So it worked both way. It works both ways. Just
Yeah.
take it on the chin instead of crying about it. That's the problem I have. It's like you can dish it out, but you don't want to take it.
Now with Caitlyn saying that, I don't mind her saying that. Like I'm getting hammered, but I also say, but when I get a chance to hammer somebody else, I'm hammering them too.
Right. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. Yeah.
yeah. I'm agreeing with saying,
Yeah. Yeah.
even with Angel, hey, that's she got me, she got me,
Mm-hmm.
but I won't get me the next time. She won't get me the next time. So what she doing is acknowledging, okay, this is a war. We out here between these lines. So this what happened. But you won't get me the next time because I'm gonna get you. So and Caitlyn, like that's one of the things I'm talking about. Speaking out. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? We were talking about earlier. That's the only negative I have on her. Not even her game. Nothing. If you speak out once or twice during this season, I guarantee you a lot of that stuff, a lot of backlash, and a lot of that the racism stuff from fans. Some of that would have cut. I ain't saying all, because you got some ignorant people out there that's
Yeah.
still gonna be ignorant. So
Yeah. And then they don't watch the games. They just
no,
look at the headlines on social media, the clickbait. They may look at a little highlight or two. They tune in to these mega sports shows that are mainly run by men. I talked about First Take, Stephen A. Smith, and Shannon Sharp. You look at a lot of people were weighing in on the WNBA early in the season. It's like y'all don't even watch. Y'all haven't been watching, and y'all have pushed this narrative that other players are hating on Caitlin Clark. They created this drama, which it did die down. But I feel like the product was good enough where it would have been okay without all of the drama from,
yeah,
like,
what,
you know what I'm saying? From all of the
yeah,
people, like your Pat McAfee's and your Emmanuel Icos and all of this.
I show,
I think it's Ico, but
yeah,
okay.
yeah, but
Shady McCoy, it's just like y'all don't watch, and it's like, what are you doing? And you had the women who cover the sport; they were trying to shut it down. So it's just a lot going on, and Go ahead, say what you want to say, because I want to come back and talk about the narrative where you can push whatever agenda you want and people will believe it. So that's why I get
Yeah, yeah, I
into
believe in that. I believe
where
that.
the
I believe
media
that.
could have done more in the past for women's sports before now, as far as the coverage. But,
Well, here's my take on that. You're right,
okay.
but professional sports are entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
Professional sports are entertainment. If you look at non-professional sports, men's basketball, college, and women basketball are pushed just the same. Now, when you get to professional sports, that's entertainment. So they're going to push where the money is or where the interest is. Let me take First Take and debate shows like that. They're only going to debate what is a hot topic because their job is to get numbers. Their job is not I'm gonna say their oh no, not their job, their show. So so when you're on their show, in their production, because they meet 2 hours before they even get on before
Mm-hmm.
they
Mm-hmm.
get on air. So the producers say, hey, these are the hot topics from Instagram, Facebook, X, whatever you want to. We're going to discuss these. Okay, I need for you to argue this point. I need for you to argue this point. I need for you to argue this point right here. This is what we're going. Let's come up with the facts, whatever to back yourself up. Boom, 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 boom. So they're going to touch on things that's hot because they're trying to get rated. Is that right? I'm not gonna say it's right. Is it wrong? I'm not gonna say it's wrong because at the end of the day, they down for their line. The bottom line, which is money. Now I'm gonna hit you with this one here. Majority of the people who were watching, legitly watching the WNBA prior to this year, was mostly male. That's
I
who
have
were
to look at
watching.
I have to look at the numbers.
You can look it up. Matter of fact, do your fact check behind me. It was.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna say it was like 80 to 20%. I'm not saying that, but it wasn't like 80% women watching and 20% male. Most people who are watching the WNBA, majority of them was males, but it was a lot of female. But they were watching it just like I would because it was good basketball. I ain't watched the NBA until it got down to playoff. Be honest with you, until they started the play in. But I watched WNBA because I just wanted to see some good ball. I want to see good ball movement. I want to see all that. Now, was this as entertainment as the NBA? No, but it was good ball, and I respect good ball. That's why I watched them, and I couldn't wait till their season start. But a lot of people watch NBA, baseball, go to the games, football because of entertainment, and there wasn't enough entertainment in WNBA. But when they had the protagonist and antagonist, people came to watch because of either skin color, team, or they like that person. You see what I'm saying? So they picked
Mm-hmm.
the side. So that's why sports shows didn't really dwell on the WNBA because it wasn't. I ain't gonna say a hot topic at the time.
Well, I still say that the people in positions of power could have dictated what the fans or what they covered. Because I take it back to the Keith Lee effect. He's a social media influencer, food critic. You know, it'll be a business that's struggling. He go and give them a review and saying, "Oh, this food is really good. It's just a marketing issue." Next day or the same day, the line is wrapped around the block, and then they're thriving after that. So if you cover women's sports, I'm not saying you have to open the show with it. You didn't have to open the show with it in the past because they opened like a First Take. They opened the show with that foul that Kennedy Carter committed on Caitlyn and talked about that for a full hour, which was drama. And nobody was talking about how good of a game it was, how well Kennedy
No,
Carter
they did.
played.
They
Um,
talked about it for two
yeah,
hours.
that's what I'm. Well, 2 hours. Okay. Well, what I'm saying is, you could have
Talked
been
about it
doing
2 hours.
that. You
Yeah.
could have been covering women's sports a little here and there. You know, Asia Wilson scored 53 points in a game last season. If I'm recalling correctly, they didn't talk about that. So all I'm saying is they could have been doing this. It shouldn't have taken. Oh, now that it's hot, oh, let us jump on the bandwagon. You know what I'm saying? You could have been a front leader in it. Is all I'm saying. You know, the media, they have played a part. They could have done a better job, and they could have brought the advertisers, because the advertisers are gonna go where the media coverage is. You know, so
Yeah, I mean, I see both sides because I got a business myself, and
mm-hmm.
you and you in radio, so you
Mm-hmm.
know about advertising. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? It's certain topics y'all got to talk about. You don't even want to talk about. It's certain things that
Well, luckily we're nonprofit, so you know.
So and when you're dealing with billions of dollars, and yeah, well, yeah, but when you're
Yeah, yeah,
dealing
yeah.
with billions of dollars, somebody bottom line, they're going to talk about what's interesting. And WNBA was not interesting enough to talk about on a daily basis or a consistent basis. No disrespect, because I watched it all the time. Now, I could have talked about it if I had me a show because I watch it,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of people didn't watch it, male and female, and a lot of people jumped on the bandwagon. So my take is this right here.
Mm-hmm.
Since everybody, this is what I'm charging people with from this point on. Since you jumped on the bandwagon, right now, stay on the bandwagon, stay on it, and
Mm-hmm.
then let's continue to. But I'm gonna charge the WNBA too. You have to be more creative to produce a product. Not the players. I'm not talking
Mm-hmm.
about the players, not at all, because they be balling, but the stuff have to produce more entertainment to keep people involved in it. You see what I'm saying? They have to
Mm-hmm.
keep it involved in it. You have to do narrative. You have to come up with something here, like the NBA. Yes, Tatum, he's this,
Yeah.
he's that, he that. They create that. So the WNBA have to do that too in order to keep people interested.
Yeah, I get it. And it's a lot of narratives out there that they can take. So sometimes the easiest narrative, the messiest narrative, is usually what people go with because drama sells. But I feel like they can do a better job, man. You know, just do a little bit more research. The storylines are out there. Um, but that just also brings me to my point of, when I talk about the men in media, um, how when men are talking about sports, they can get away with not knowing what they're saying. You know what I mean? Because just because they're a man, people feel like they know. You know what I mean? It was a Chris Broussard was on his podcast, and he was giving commentary on when Donna Taurasi was saying to Caitlin Clark, the the WNBA is coming. It's going to be a rude awakening. You're going to have to go through that learning curve. And a lot of people gave her flack because they said she was hating and they didn't like the way she said it. And he's like, I feel like she's hating on her. I don't really watch the WNBA, but you already, you know what I'm saying, discredited yourself
Discredit
right there.
yourself
You just
already.
said I don't watch the WNBA. So it's just like people, if it's a hot topic, people feel like, oh, let me jump on this bandwagon, let me speak on it. But if you don't have the credibility, you shouldn't speak on it. But when it comes to women, they really have to know their stuff when it comes to sports. Because it's like, why should I listen to you if you haven't played, or because you're a woman, you better know what you're talking about. So I just feel like people need to be more responsible, which is again one of the reasons why I wanted to do this series in their takes, man, because if you have a huge following, people feel like your word is law.
Yeah,
They
that's
not
true.
gonna
That's true.
they not gonna do their research. You're the research. So
That's
you
true.
need to be
That's true.
responsible with your audience.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
that's true, Britt. I can't even disagree with you with that. And my thing is this right here. Um, you know, sex sales, so they're gonna boost that, and negativity sales, they're
Mm-hmm.
gonna boost that. Anything positive, they're not gonna boost it. And and that's my only thing I charge them with, the producers and things like that. Not even the people who come out there and speak on it, because sometimes in the production part of it, they are given lines to say and given lines to do. So I'm gonna go a step further than that. I'm not even talking about I don't know what Stephen A might have a lot more to say on his show, which he's doing better, way better. So I'm gonna give him his kudos on that. But I disagree on certain things too with a lot of people, and they probably
Mm-hmm.
disagree with me. But if the producer say, you know what, every segment, every one we're gonna do, we're gonna touch on something that's not, not the leading thing in the world today. We're gonna touch on something that's wholesome. We're gonna touch on something, and then that way it'll make it more conscious, and people, it'll keep things in the spotlight that need to be in the spotlight.
I agree. Like I said, it has gotten better. It did die down, and it was really good once we could focus on basketball because it was a great product that was being displayed on the court. So,
But
you
they
know,
were knocking the crap out of, and I mean,
so does was not everybody getting fouled hard too? Okay, so like, okay, you come in. That's just like when MJ came into the league. Oh,
they
you
were
know what I'm
knocking the
saying?
crap out
They
of,
knocking the crap out of him.
yeah.
You know, LeBron, you people done named you the chosen one. You had already had Kobe in the league, Tracy McGrady, Vince Carter, Allen Iverson. All these cats like, okay, we waiting on you. We ready for you. Like you
you,
good. But
you,
you finna get our best every night, and that's just competition. That's not hating.
yeah.
That's like, oh, you the one that done coined the chosen one. I'm about to show you.
Oh, show
So
me then.
that's the same thing. When Caitlin come, you know you're gonna get everybody's best. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So that's not hating.
And I
That's
don't even
basketball.
think it was her. I don't even think it was her. I just think it was just other people creating that narrative.
Oh
I
yeah,
just
for
think
sure.
she was just like, I'm just going. I just want to play ball. And the real talk, Larry Bird was the same way. I just want to play. Him and Magic actually was good friends. Still is.
Mm-hmm.
They, you know what I'm saying? But people created a narrative, but they were cool. It wasn't no, they still cool. But people want to create a narrative. Some to make money, some to make buzz. Some so when you hit a loud person, they're able to see you. Stuff like that. So you know, it's crazy. But just speak truth, like you say. Speak facts. You can't argue with facts and figures.
Okay, so now I want to talk about some of these WNBA coaching fires. We had four coaches to be fired since the regular season ended. You had Latricia Trammell of, did I pronounce that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Latricia
Latricia
Trammell.
Trammell. Okay, Latricia
Yeah,
Trammell from the Dallas Wings.
Wayne.
You had Kurt Miller of the Los Angeles Sparks,
Yeah,
Tanisha Wright of the Atlanta Dream, and Teresa Weatherspoon of
Witherspoon.
the Chicago Sky. Um, what are your thoughts on these firings? I really want to speak specifically to Teaspoon,
Okay.
but it's just all of these firings and like who are the coaches lined up to replace them?
Well, let me tell you, Cheryl Reed spoke about this. I don't know if it was a couple of days ago or whenever. And she said that, it's a hard thing for all the coaches because she said all the coaches can coach. So it's hard for any coach in the WNBA to hear of another coach getting fired because they know that's they
Mm-hmm.
co-worker. I mean, not necessarily working the same,
Mm-hmm.
team, but they all, mingle, you know what I'm saying, like that, and it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
But who you gonna get?
That's true.
Uh, um, and why did you fire him? Did you fire him because of productivity? Did you fire him because none of the players like him, or
Mm-hmm.
they couldn't relate to any of the players? Now, I can understand that. With their scheme or the schematics of their offense and defense, something that you didn't agree with, something like that. Or you just fired him because you didn't want him, and nepotism. I got somebody else or my
Mm-hmm.
friend, son or daughter play ball. They want to coach, so I'm gonna go ahead and move them in. Uh, and only reason I'm saying that because I think all the other coaches coach multiple years,
Mm-hmm.
2 years, 3 years, except
Teaspoon.
Weatherspoon,
Yeah.
Teaspoon, Weatherspoon, man. I just think that was unfair a little bit. 1 year,
Mm-hmm.
1 year, like God, dog. I know they ain't make it to the playoff, but man, you 1 year, at least give them 2 to 3 years, unless they just do something drastic, like slap somebody or,
Yeah. Yeah.
something like that or beat up the owner or anything. But 1 year, Nah, Teaspoon, yeah, Teaspoon got too much knowledge to give players to just 1 year. I just think.
And now a Hall of Famer because she was recently inducted with this 2024 class.
Oh yeah,
So she deserved better. And like you said, only 1 year, you at least should get 3 to 4 years. Especially the fact that she had Angel Reese to come in, and Angel spoke about it on social media how she wanted to play for the Sky because of Teaspoon. So for you to break up that culture and that relationship,
yeah.
somebody your franchise player really wanted, that wasn't smart. So I don't know why they did that. And you could tell when they would show her, she attended some games or has attended some games after that, and
Hmm.
she looked like she was hurt, like she thought it was going to be more, she was going to have more time. So hopefully somebody else will pick her up. Um, I don't know. To me, she was a great fit for the Sky because they played with grit. The way
Yeah,
they play ball, like they needed a coach like her. So I don't
yeah,
know who else they gonna bring in behind her. And even too with the Sparks coach, because I'm surprised when you bring in. I think he may have been there 2 or 3 years,
yeah.
but when you
Kurt.
bring in a Cameron Brink and Rakia Jackson, who we talked about, she was honorable mention for Rookie of the Year, third best player,
He
the
have been
most
balling.
the most pro ready player in the draft,
Yeah.
found her niche. I don't know why she wasn't starting to begin the season, but once she was inserted into that starting lineup, clicking. I mean, she just found her rhythm. Can play the 1 through the 4.
Maybe that's
Straight,
why they fired him because he didn't start her at the beginning of the year. I don't.
yeah.
I
I don't know.
don't
I,
know.
I don't know either. I figured they would have given him more time, with that rookie class to develop them.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I don't know. Like you said, they're firing these coaches. Who are you gonna hire? I know in the past a lot of the teams they have the GM and the coach. They wear both hats, and that can
Yeah.
be a lot. And then we think about how much W coaches make. They don't make a whole lot. It was
They make about I think anywhere between 500 or 600,000 to like 1.3, 1.23 million or something like that. So
well,
it
yeah, and
ain't
that,
nothing it ain't nothing to frown at either now.
yeah, I'm saying like that. I'm just saying because your higher end coaches are Becky Hammond and the new coach who came in for the Mercury, who came from the NBA, who's now the highest paid coach. But when you think about, let's try to get some. A lot of people have said they should try to get some coaches from college, the Don Staley or Kim Mulkey. They not
Oh
finna
no
take that type of
indeed.
pay cut.
Man,
They
they're
making a
making
whole lot
10
of
minutes,
bread.
they're making about 8 to 10, and then hold on, it ain't just the amount they making.
Hmm.
Even if they making 2 million
They
in
got a great
college,
situation.
they're not taxed the same. You got
Mm.
entertainment taxing and pro. You don't have that in college. Plus, if you got a public college, then you got retirement and everything.
Mm.
So in order for you to, if you making 2 million in college, you got to make at least 5 million in pro to be equivalent to a person making 2 million in college.
Mm. I knew you was gonna understand the breakdown and the taxes and
Yeah,
that paperwork and why it's a good situation for them. So it's not favorable for them to leave college and go to the pros. It's not.
no,
So
I'm talking about WNBA, NBA, NFL, baseball. None of that. I mean, unless you're making a tremendous more and pro, most people go from college to pro is for ego. Yeah, I'm coaching pro now. But for monetary wise, no, mm-mm,
mm.
no.
Well, one thing I don't want to see happen is they give the jobs to a lot of white men. Um, I want somebody who's qualified, and I think it's good to give former players a shot. You want to see, I want to see women coaching women. You know what I'm saying? You look at who is available or who you may think is a good fit. You see the Golden State organization, they hired a coach who was on the Aces staff, and I can't remember who else she coached for, but she has a good resume and she's getting a shot. I look at Katie Smith, who's a former player. She played with the Detroit Shock. That was back when they had Cheryl Ford and they had Tweety Nolan, Deanna Nolan. Katie
Okay.
Smith was a nice guard. She is now coaching with the Lynx. So how
Well, I
good that
mean,
team
they
has been,
yeah.
I think she should get a shot. I'm just saying. I just don't
Yeah.
want all of those positions to be filled by white
Well,
men. You know what I'm saying? Your coaches should reflect the league. Is what you know what I mean?
yeah, I mean, this just me. It's just like voting. You got several reasons to vote. Platform, um, you know, party. Then the other two is race and sex. Whether it's male or female.
Hmm.
With basketball, you can hire a person based off of their platform, which is what you should. Just like vote, you should vote for a person for their platform. If you don't know their platform, then you can go to the you know whatever party. With basketball or any other sport, you vote for them because of their. I'm gonna say you hire them because of their uh, um platform, what they're about, what they trying to do, how can they help better your the players on the team and your team, and bottom line, your productivity, which is money, which was Worldwide Consulting do. But we'll go to that later. But but if you hire somebody because of their sex, which is male or female, somebody might be like, talking about good sex or bad? No, I'm talking about male or female sex. Or because of their race, then I disagree with that. Now, you hire somebody, whether they white male, white female, black male, black female, whatever, because of their because how they can coach and grade them on their coach, and how well they can get people to get better and perform better as a team, then I'm with that. But like you say, some coaches should reflect the players. You got white players, foreign players, black players, all of those in WNBA and NBA. So, well, we talking about the WNBA now. So
Yeah.
those four positions, I'm looking for. It would be great if they're replaced with uh, people that represent the league. Players in the league.
In the best interest. No, I'm with you. So I know I play for male coaches, black
Yeah.
coaches, white coaches, female coaches. So what I'm saying is a lot of times in almost every league, mainly white men get the job. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? A lot of people who are qualified don't get the opportunities.
It skipped
So,
over.
you know what I mean? You're talking about a league that's all women, predominantly black. Let some of those former players or somebody who has a resume get an opportunity to coach. And you can't give them 1 year. You have to give them more time than that.
At least three.
At
And
least
you
three.
get yeah, at least three, unless they just go in there and do something just totally stupid. Like if they
Mm-hmm.
go in there and cuss all on the when they doing their interviews and slapping people or beating people, or
Mm-hmm.
just cursing folks out, the owner and all of that, then hey, you gotta go. But you gotta give them at least 3 years. I
Yeah.
say, at
Yeah.
least.
No, I'm with you. As long as they qualify and if they have a good brand and they could bring more fans to the league, they can do things to help benefit the team and their organization. I'm all for it. But again, I just don't want to see all of the jobs go to, we talk about nepotism.
Yeah,
Just because
yeah.
of who they know and they're not qualified, their resume isn't any better than another woman who could have, gotten a
Yeah, it
job.
could have
That's
been
all
on
I'm
it. Yeah,
saying.
I agree with you. I say get the best
Or a
person.
black male coach.
Yeah, get the best person for the job. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
whoever interview for them, and it's like you were talking about Teaspoon. I don't know what happened. I can't speculate.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I wish she could have been able to coach 2 more years,
Mm-hmm.
at least. That. But I don't think she'll get a head coaching job within the next few years. I do think it's going to be some smart head coaches that's going to hire her as an assistant, whether it's in the NBA or WNBA. I do think that. I probably they probably knocking on the door for her now because of her style, because of her knowledge of the game, and just she's just raspy. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I think one of those type team, NBA or WNBA, probably going to try to uh, get her as an assistant coach, and then maybe down the line she can get back in there as a head coach.
Indeed. Indeed. Well, Ware, thank you so much for joining the show. This has been a great one. We covered a lot. I think we gave a lot of great insight and perspective. Let the people know about your consulting services and how they can find you and book you.
Well, go online on www.worldwareconsulting.com. I'm gonna lean back with it. Let it come over here. You
Yeah,
can
let
see
them
it on
see
the
it.
shirt.
Let them see it.
Bam. And only thing we do, we just try to positively change your culture and climate to increase morale, which increase productivity. And once productivity is increased, your money line increase, your test scores increase. If you're in the school, if you're an athletic team, your wins increase. And if you're just at a church, your membership and or the atmosphere around you will increase for the best.
All right. So this was an episode of Sports Minded. I'm your host, Brittany Young. Until next time, y'all be blessed. We out of here.